Hey movie fans, I like all kinds of movies. Good movies, bad movies, movies that are so bad they end up being good. The ones that are always fascinating to me are the movies that are supposedly bad, but I don't find out that they're bad until much later. So what I mean by that is, I'm sure you're all familiar with Rotten Tomatoes, the movie aggregate site that kind of takes a collection of audience reactions and critics' reactions to movies and just kind of puts them all together. Well, I'll be watching a movie that I absolutely love and adore, only to find out that the critics absolutely despised it. And it makes me feel a little weird, like, did I just miss something with this movie? So that's what we're going to talk about today. 10 movies that I absolutely love and adore that for the life of me, I do not understand how critics could be so hard on them, and you will never convince me otherwise that these aren't at least good to great movies. By and large, I really genuinely will defend any of these as fun, enjoyable movies despite their rotten status on Rotten Tomatoes. This is just looking at the critics' reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, not the audience. Kicking us off at number 10, I have Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Now, by and large, all three movies in the Bill and Ted trilogy with Excellent Adventure, Bogus Journey, and Face the Music have good reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, except for Bogus Journey, which I think is so bizarre that critics loved Excellent Adventure but hate Bogus Journey, when quality-wise, I don't think they're all that different. Yeah, they're both essentially just time travel movies. All three are just dabble with the time travel, but they're all quirky, out of left field, good-hearted comedies that I don't really see the quality drop off between Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey. Here's my hot take: I like Bogus Journey more than Excellent Adventure. By and large, I put all three movies in the Bill and Ted trilogy on about even ground. I think all three of them are good. Bogus Journey is a whole heck of a lot better than critics give it credit for. The addition of Death, who is one of the franchise favorites at this point. I love Death. I love the wacky supporting characters. It just gets weird and bonkers and out there, but that's what Bill and Ted is. Next up is probably the only one that I will say I love it, but I will never, for the life of me, be able to explain why I do. Like, I get that there's flaws, but boy, do I still love Clash of the Titans. And before you ask, no, I don't know why I do, but I just do. I love Clash of the Titans, but I despise Wrath of the Titans. It's really weird. I don't know how it works, but it just does in my brain. I think I just saw Clash of the Titans at the right time, that it's one of those like forever locked in my brain. This is one of the one or two movies that we'll talk about today that like I could kind of see the critics' reactions to it, but I don't care. I really like it, and you can never convince me that it's terrible or unimaginative. Sure, it's got some flaws, but I don't know what it is. I have always had a soft spot for my love of Clash of the Titans. It's dumb, it's ridiculous, but I don't care. I'm like the only person I know that likes Clash of the Titans. That's my confession for you today. Next up for our part 2 of this oddly specific sand-themed trilogy is Jake Gyllenhaal's Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. I have so much fun with this movie, and I don't even care what other people say about it. Jake Gyllenhaal has been one of my favorite actors for a while, and I get the critics' complaints about this one, that he is wildly miscast for Prince of Persia. I don't care. I have fun with this movie. Alfred Molina is having the time of his life as this like huckster event promoter, Paul Heyman-esque character. He's having so much fun. It's just dumb action. I watch and rewatch this movie so much. There's so much of this story that I get doesn't have a point, but you will never convince me that this is not a fun action adventure story. Lastly, for our sand related trilogy here, I know it's oddly specific, we have Matthew McConaughey's Sahara. Now this is one that I did not know the critics hated this, but boy, the critics did not like this one. Maybe I'm just partial, because I love a good old-fashioned swashbuckling adventure treasure hunt movie. Shocker that Uncharted Media would be a fan of swashbuckling mystery adventure treasure hunt movies. But still to this day, I don't understand how critics are so harsh on this movie. You have Steve Zahn. What more do you need? Steve Zahn's the best. I'm pretty sure this is the first Steve Zahn movie I ever saw, and he is just the best. I love a good quirky sidekick in a big treasure hunt movie. I'm sure that won't come up later on this list in any way, shape, or form, but Steve Zahn's great, Penelope Cruz is great, Matthew McConaughey is great. This might have been overlooked because it was in the middle of that Matthew McConaughey shift to more dramatic side, because at this point in his career, he was more of the rom-com guy still, so maybe people didn't see him as an action star. I have so much fun with this movie. It is a treasure hunt movie, but not in the traditional sense. Just the way they go about it is different. It's fun, entertaining. The cast is lively and energetic and just fun. Give me a fun cast of characters on a quest, and by and large, I'm gonna be into it. Now, this and another one down the list, I'll give a little bit more towards a leeway because critics are a little divided just in general when it comes to horror related stuff. So just off the bat, if you have a horror movie, chances are critics are going to be a little more harsh on it. That being said, especially when it comes to 90s horror, critics weren't particularly kind, but it's a genre that I really have a soft spot for, whether it is Scream, The Faculty, or in this case, I Know What You Did Last Summer. I still Know What You Did Last Summer isn't great, but I love that movie as well. But I Know What You Did Last Summer, it's got interesting intrigue to it, very 90s campiness to it. Oh, this is just a Kevin Williamson script to a T, like 90s soap opera drama-esque. I don't know what it is, but I'm 100% on board. I love Freddie Prinze Jr. I think Jennifer Love Hewitt's great in it. You got Sarah Michelle Gellar. You will never be able to convince me. I Know What You Did Last Summer is a bad movie, and I'm beyond excited for the reboot next year, unashamedly. So next up is one that I actually get pretty fired up about when I defend it, because I just love it so much, and really no one talks about it anymore because it kind of came and went like a fart in the wind, but I don't care. I absolutely love Liam Neeson's A-Team. This is one of the most fun action movies of the past 20 years, and no one talks about it, not even the people in the cast. They all kind of moved on after the movie came out, but I don't care. I have so much fun with the cast, so much fun with the action. Now, let me preface this. I didn't grow up watching the A-Team TV series. I'd seen bits and pieces. By and large, from the clips that I've seen, it seemed like they really nailed the casting. Even if they're not basing it off of the TV show in terms of the actual portrayals, I think the characters themselves were really fun and inspired casting choices. Like Liam Neeson as Hannibal, perfect. Bradley Cooper as Face, excellent. Charlotte Copley as Murdoch, though, absolute MVP and one of my favorite supporting characters in any action movie. He is having the time of his life. It's such a fun action movie. Great one-liners, great action set pieces. Does it defy the laws of physics sometimes with some pretty stupid stuff like the tank falling and they're guiding it midair? Yes, that is incredibly stupid. Do I care? No, it's an action movie. Let me have my fun, dang it. Next up, we're gonna kind of cheat a little bit and have multiple films from a franchise just all here with a giant asterisk as to which ones I think are the good ones and which ones I think I agree with the critics on. But that is the Halloween sequels. Critics, there's more good Halloween movies than just the original and the 2018 ones. I know you love those a lot, but I will die on the horse. That is Halloween 2, Halloween 3, Halloween 4, and Halloween H2O. All of those are not only good movies, they are great movies, and you will never be able to convince me otherwise. Do I have a personal stake in this? A little bit. It's one of my favorite franchises of all time. Objectively, I just really enjoy these movies, and I don't think they're nearly as bad as critics make them out to me. Again, like the I Know What You Did Last Summer argument, critics are a little harsher on horror movies just in general. But Halloween, they always seem to be like, it's just the same thing over and over again. To a certain extent, I agree. But Halloween, unlike other horror franchises like Friday the 13th, has had good protagonists that you want to get behind and see succeed. That's what makes Halloween special. They got some good set pieces, some good practical kills. I just enjoy Halloween, and you'll never be able to convince me that there's not more good Halloween movies than bad movies. Like the A-Team, this next one is one that I firmly defend any chance I get as one of the most criminally underrated movies of recent memory. And it's gonna sound weird when it comes out, but 2017's Power Rangers deserves so much better and is so much better than it had any right to be. Yes, 2017's Power Rangers. I didn't really grow up watching Power Rangers. Heather and I saw this in theaters, and she was more the Power Rangers person growing up than me. I had a vague knowledge of them, but it was whatever. A lot of people had issue with the fact that we don't really get Power Ranger action until the very, very end of the movie. Me being a casual Power Rangers fan at best, I actually kind of appreciated that approach. It got me to care about the characters more so than the action. Heaven forbid I'm invested in the protagonists of a story and want to see what their journey looks like. I think that characters that they have are really, really well done. Still to this day, I say one of my favorite movie scenes in general is when they're all talking around the campfire, getting to know each other and exposing their weaknesses as characters to each other, their character flaws, their weaknesses. I think that's an emotionally vulnerable and interesting scene that I wish we got more of in movies, of just characters talking like people. It was charming and endearing to the characters. You want to see them succeed in a Power Rangers movie. But I don't think this is as poorly written as people make it out to be. The CGI actually holds up pretty well for the most part. And the casting department, whoever cast this movie, you were ahead of the curve big time on this one. Like Naomi Scott, Becky G, Dacre Montgomery. Dude. Now, these last two are going to be hard to remove my biases because they are two of the movies that I have seen more than any other movie because I just love them so much and I refuse to see any major flaws with them. Come at me. The first one we're going to talk about is Nicolas Cage's National Treasure. I remember when this came out, I saw this over and over and over again in theaters, and it's still one of the movies I've seen more than any other just because it's so easy to watch. Also, having been to most of those historic places that center around the movie, I kind of appreciated that too. Like if you can identify the locations, I think you're more invested in the story. Be like, oh hey, you know that place. I've just always been a big American Revolution fan, so when they're going through the mystery pieces and I'm just going, I could follow along with this. I'm having fun with this. And like I said earlier, I'm just a big treasure hunt mystery fan, so when they're like putting together pieces and clues and trying to find the big treasure, I am immediately locked in. I'm pretty sure National Treasure was the movie that made me go, oh yeah, Nicolas Cage is my ride or die for life. I'm emotionally invested in his career at this point, having not seen any other Nicolas Cage movie up till that point. Great sidekick, like we talked about with Sahara. Riley is the best supporting character I've seen in any like action movie. I absolutely love him. This is one of my most favorite movies just ever. It's one of my easiest watches, I think, of just put it on. Yep, I'm gonna be preoccupied for the next 2 hours or so just because I have to finish this. I love this movie so much. So for our final movie we're gonna talk about, I feel like the critics were particularly harsh on this movie because they just looked at the title and immediately wrote it off as a children's cash grab, but I don't care. 1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles still holds up to this day, and I think critics are overly harsh on it, and it is not a rotten movie by any stretch of the imagination. I think they're just like, it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's clearly designed for children, and it's a cash grab. Well, yeah, the entire Ninja Turtles franchise is more or less a cash grab, but we accept it at this point. As a kid, I loved this movie. As an adult, I actually somehow love it more. It's one of those movies that I watch from my childhood that I think actually gets better with time because I appreciate what the movie's going for. Director Steve Barron had a very specific aesthetic that he was building for this movie with very dark shadows and moody atmosphere. It felt like a good combination of the 80s cartoon and the original black and white comic, which was definitely more on the edgier side. Yeah, there's some goofy and ridiculous moments, but they're balanced with some really good, tender, emotional beats as well. The Turtles' relationship with Splinter is a really well-told story. The prosthetics by Jim Henson's production company are outstanding. The work that they're able to do with that, it's a really well-crafted narrative that if it was titled anything else, or even if it came out today when superhero movies are more of the norm, I think this would be a lot better received by critics, because even look at Mutant Mayhem, which has pretty good reviews. I still think this is the best Ninja Turtles movie, and it's just a really, really well-told story that just happens to have oversized mutant Ninja Turtles in them. At the end of the day, I think movie critics are helpful, but they shouldn't be your be-all, end-all for movie enjoyment. Just enjoy what you like. Whether Rotten Tomatoes deems it rotten, or not? Well, what do you guys think? What are some rotten movies that you absolutely love and you think the critics were way off on? I'm very curious to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Whatever your thoughts, let me know down in the comments. And as always, if you like what you see and want to see more, subscribe to the channel and stay sharp, movie guys and gals.